What's going on, tribe? It's Zeit. I am back, and a lot of you have requested a Siren build video, an in-depth Siren build video. And what I'm bringing you today is a support build that I love to use with the Siren. I haven't used her too much, I will admit, but I do enjoy using her as a support class, really being an integral part of the team with this particular build. And the very first thing that I tested, and believe me, I did a lot of testing with this ability, is Flicker. Three very important things I learned about elemental effect chances while fiddling with this ability, Flicker. And this is unanimous across the board for all characters. This has nothing to do with just the Siren. Slag damage will increase the damage of your elemental effect over time. That's very important. Always be using slag whenever you can, especially on the harder mobs. Critical hit damage does not affect your damage over time when you score a critical hit. So your initial damage, yes, will crit, but your damage over time will stay the same as though you didn't crit. Elemental effect chances do stack on top of each other. Now, I don't know, because I don't know the programming specifically, how many stacks you can stack on top of each other, but I do know that you can get it to a pretty high rate to the point where you can't even see what numbers are what when it's spewing out of the mob that you're attacking, as you could see demonstrated in the very first part of the video. Alright, now with Flicker, now that I've gotten through the basics of what happens with elemental effect chances, I want to explain the percentages and how they work. It might seem like a really good idea to max this out, but to be perfectly honest with you, the difference is very minimal depending on what kind of weapons you use. So I'm going to give you an example. I use a submachine gun that has a 12% base percentage to activate an elemental effect chance. Now you might be thinking, well, if you get the plus 36 from the 1 point, then why don't you go all the way up to plus 60% so that you gain a real crap ton of elemental effect chance? Well, this is how it actually works. It's 36% more of 12. So instead of simply adding 36 on top of 12, making it somewhere around 40, it's actually only adding 4.32%. So that will make your base elemental effect chance 16.32%. Now again, the same is said with a level 10, I believe, rank of this ability, making the bonus up to 60%. It'll be 60% of 12% in this particular case for a 7.2% increase and an overall base increase of 19.2%. So around 2 more points, I believe, roughly speaking, without the decimal. So it's not a huge increase to add all 5 points into the ability, but it would really benefit against a weapon like a sniper rifle, because 50% is usually around the general area where a sniper rifle will be for the base chance. You add 60% to that, that's a 30% increase in total, and for your base to go all the way up to 80% chance. So that, for that particular situation, is very good, but then there's also the drawback of a submachine gun shoots a lot faster than a sniper rifle. So there's all those checks and balances to kind of keep it in place and keep it very balanced. And the only thing I do not know, which would completely change everything, would be how many stacks this can possibly go up to. Without that information, I do not know if it would be more prudent to put it into Flicker and put 4 points there and put 1 point into Foresight, or the other way around. Until I have that information, I do not know, but this is the build that I would go for. Now I go into Foresight, and Foresight is, the main thing for this is, again, I'm just making use of that legendary class mod, and I'm getting to the next tier of abilities. But magazine size and reload speed is always, I feel, one of the biggest key differences in DPS for any class. So being able to reload faster, being able to switch weapons faster, being able to have a bigger clip size so you don't have to reload as often, all very key things for maximum DPS in any class build. Alright, so here we have the comparison of the two, one with the ability and one without. So on the left hand side we have the without, which your clip size is 13 with this particular weapon. Damage per clip is 6.1 million. You end up shooting 7 clips over the span of that 1 minute period, equaling 43,225,000 damage per minute. So that's what the DPM stands for. Now on the right hand side here, you can see that the clip size now with this ability at 4 stacks has been increased to 17. The damage now per clip is 8 million. You end up with 6 clips over a 1 minute period, which ends up giving you 48,450,000 damage per minute. So overall, that gives you an increase of 5,225,000 damage per minute. So if you think about it, every minute that you're holding that trigger down, that's an extra 5 million damage that you're doing over that time. So it's definitely a pretty significant increase. Alright, now that we've finished off our last two abilities, Foresight and Flicker, I'm going to be showing you Helios. Helios is the ability that you would use to really buff up your phase lock. With 5 points in it, it does a ridiculous amount of damage at level 61. It's not a huge difference, but I mean, when you look at that 345k for your regular phase lock versus the amount of fire damage that comes out of Helios, it is a significant boost. Now, when you have that linked with Converge from the motion tree, it does stupid damage because not only does it affect the single target that you hit, it affects all the targets around it. And with Converge pulling everything in towards it, it's just a clusterfuck of damage. And as you can see here, the fire just, 5k is not a heck of a lot for a single target, but when you got lots of it going on, it is crazy. Now, if you're going for a straight DPS build, you will be spamming the crap out of this ability the second it's off cooldown. But since this is a support build, it's going to be basically used to revive your friends whenever they get into trouble, and you can stay a far relatively safe distance away. So it's good to not use it off cooldown constantly, but try and be versatile with it and use it for offensive as well as defensive. Cloud Kill is a very interesting little ability. It's basically 1 point for added elemental damage, and it procs very, very often. As you could see previously when I was shooting, nothing was really happening aside from my base elemental attacks, but now with this one, no matter what you're using, you will get an acid burn damage for 2,075 damage every time. Now, I believe that damage is all scaled upon your level, so every time you level, it will go up depending on where you are in the game. But, I mean, look at how often it'll go off. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous to me. I believe it's a 5-second cooldown, so basically, the 5 seconds it takes to go off, that is a signal for you to say, okay, it'll go off again once you shoot something else. So unfortunately, you can't go around tagging multiple enemies with it. That kind of sucks, but that extra base damage just for shits and giggles is definitely worth picking up for 1 point. Alright guys, so the next talent that I'm working on is Immolate, and I only put 4 so that, again, it's not like the most important talent in the world, but it's definitely a good talent for if you go down because it gives you a serious damage boost for when you need to kill something to revive, and it allows you to get to your next ability, which is Reaper. But as you can see, a change of... Whoa, easy Steam, easy, don't be like that. As you can see, there's a little bit of a change of atmosphere because I wanted to show you this ability in action, and I could not do that attacking a target dummy. What's up, buddy? Punch your ass. Alright, give me down. That's it. God, you bad. So, as you can see, there's quite a ton of, damage numbers coming up off him. Probably be best for me to use Slag to kill him. There we go. Because, as you can tell, I was almost dead just from that alone. But there's some serious damage. Like, as you can see, I'm not doing a heck of a lot of damage with this gun like that. But once I go into Fight for Your Life mode, I do a crap ton of damage. So, it's definitely a very useful ability to use for when you really, really need to get yourself a revival, and you don't have another Siren around who can revive you from across the map. So let's head on to the next talent. Alright, so our next talent is Reaper, and it's pretty straightforward. You deal increased gun damage to any enemy who has more than 50% of their health. So I'll give you a good example. Right now I'm doing 475k damage with this explosive pistol. And of course our little acid cloud. Gotta love our acid cloud. I'm tripping, man, I'm tripping. So let's see, putting 5 points, obviously, so we can get into our next tier, which will be the Blight Phoenix. But let's see what it does for increased damage. So that's a pretty significant increase, going from 475 to 570k damage. So that's huge. But it does kind of suck that once the person gets down to below 50% health, you should be doing a lot less damage. So you'd be going back to 475. So my suggestion in a team atmosphere is you be the first one to attack a target, and once you see it's hitting around 50%, if there's multiple targets, move on to the next one and let like the Commando or the Gunzerker work on those. So that way you're doing the most to your possible potential. Alright, so I'm going to show you the Blight Phoenix, as it can only be used on stuff that you can kill, so I can't show you on the target dummy. But basically, it's a kill skill where whenever you kill something, you gain an aura around you of fire and corrosive damage. And, well, let's just put it this way. You look like a frickin' badass with fire wings when you get it as well. So, I mean, who wants to turn down an ability like that? Let's show you what the word is here. So, let's see. Hey, there we go. So, he's dead. Let's see what damage it does. It does 3,000 damage AoE, see? I'm not actually doing much. I'm gonna go straight to Ruin. The action skill augmentation phase lock now slags, electrocutes, and corrodes all nearby enemies. So this is much like the cloud kill in a way, but it's based off your phase lock. And like I said, phase lock being up so quickly, you can do a fair amount of damage with it. And I forgot to put the point into it. So right now you only see about this much damage. The fire damage from, which ability was it? Here. I believe it was Helios, so you're getting the fire damage from Helios, but now you're also going to be getting all the other damages from Ruin, which is, you know, slag, electricity, fire, acid. So this guy's generally going to be having a bad day, and just like that, your damage is still going for the most part, and your ability's still up, so you can just boom right again. And you see, that's the other cool thing too. If he's slagged before you use your phase lock, all of your damage gets increased, not just your dot damage, even like the initial. As you can see, 100. Oh, it was 1,000,000 damage basically for your phase lock damage alone. So this, especially in duels, if you want to easy win duels, just spam this ability until you hit them. That's pretty simple. Pretty simple. So now that we're into the new tree, we are looking at Mind's Eye, and it increases your critical hit damage, which is always good to take advantage of. Now, while it's good to take advantage of, I also say don't put yourself out of place just to get critical hits when you're in a boss fight. Take advantage of them when there's an opportunity, but try not to get yourself into a position where you're going to be taking unnecessary damage or possibly dying just to get critical hits. Always play smart rather than being lucky. It also increases your melee damage by a set amount. I can't remember exactly what it is once I get all my points into it. But utilizing a little glitch, I'm going to show you how melee actually works before and after this ability, and the difference in critical hit damage before and after. So let's do the before, which as you can see, I'm on the inside of the training arena, and that's the glitch that I was talking about. There is a way to get in here, and if you guys really want to see it, I will make a baby tutorial video. I mean, it's pretty short, but melee doing 34,580 damage, and that's before the talents are in it. Sorry, I'm losing my voice here. And now my critical hit damage is... stop dodging my shit. About 1,000,000 damage right now. So 900k. About 100k off from doing 1,000,000 damage. And with that talent point now being maxed out, you will do 50% more critical hit damage, which will basically raise you to about 1,250,000. And then melee damage increased by 60%, which I'm not even sure how much that will be because I haven't actually tested that until I've made this video. So melee damage increases to 55,000, so about 20-ish or so thousand more. And so the critical hit damage, like I said, it should be about 1,250,000, well, 1,236,000. I'm going to move over here a little bit, so I got a little more range. Slag a mofo and see what the damage is with slag, and I'm sucking at rolling through my weapons here. So with slag, 1.7 million on the body, and then 3.7 million on the... Alright, well as you can see, we've got a little change of scenery, and I'm moving on to the ability Wreck. While you have the enemy phase locked, you gain an increased fire rate and damage with all gun types. So it increases your damage and fire rate, as it says. Pretty plain and simple. Now the problem is, this is not a very effective ability for bosses. Unless you happen to phase lock, say like ads or something on the side, and you pretty much ignore them to keep that buff up for as long as possible. Again, this is mainly a support thing, and really good on trash. Any mob that is immune to phase lock being like actually physically locked up will make it so that your cooldown never really starts while it's up, so that you will never technically get this buff. So that's one of those things to just be aware of while you're using this particular build that I'm showing you. And a good example was I could not show you using the target dummy, so now I have to show you kind of like a live action what's going on. And it's kind of difficult in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode when I'm using half my talents. So I'll show you the fire rate and the damage here. So remember, the damage you were doing with a slagged enemy was about 1.7 million. The critical, I believe, was 3.6 or 3.7, around there. So keep those numbers in mind when I slag something and use the phase lock to gain the extra damage buff. And you'll see the speed difference simply while I'm shooting and have something phase locked.
Stop.
So as you can see right now, that's the increase in damage and speed, and right now you can even see it slowed right down as soon as that phase lock ended. So that was a good example for that, and I'm just waiting for it to come back up, waiting for someone to sneak around the corner, try and take these suckers on one by one, rather than rushing in there, you know, Death Streak like. Phase lock him, and I'll just attack this guy instead. So I can't see the damage. I did 1 million damage, so it seems a little lower than it was before. But I might have hit him right at the end of him being slagged, I'm not quite sure. Oh, that was sneaky. That was sneaky. But even with this really crappy pistol, you can see I'm doing a fair... Oh, I gotta switch up and do better damage. Oh, last second. Kill to survive. Alright, let's try and get these suckers away from each other. Yes, chase me down, chase me down. Alright. So again, let's show you some of the damage. I did 1.9 million, and that was a non-crit. So basically 1.9 million non-crits, that's about a 200k increase, not huge, but again, I just wanted to take that one particular ability to level up to get the game changer in the healing tree, which is what makes this my hybrid, because you can instantly revive a friend using phase lock, which really is such a powerful ability when you're on raid bosses. Alright guys, just a quick demonstration of the near limitless range that you can get on the revival skill. As long as you're in line of sight. If you're not in line of sight, I can't hit you.
I should be in line of sight there.
Yeah.
Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Are you recording?
I'm recording.
Grenades down.
Blows himself up. Oh my god! I can't find a button. I can't find a button.
Bitch.
Biatch.
Okay, so what's so special about this?
About what? That I can revive you? From super mad long distances away?
Oh yeah, revive me while it's still exploding.
It's okay, it's up again now. Alright guys, we are back in Sanctuary, as you can see, and the next ability that I'm going to talk about is Ward. Improves your shield capacity and recharge delay, and as you can see there, it's a pretty hefty delay just from 1 point with the legendary class mod, and a pretty significant increase. Now, I will show you what my shield's doing right now. I've got 61k basically on this shield, and the only way I can show you the delay, I don't have a weapon that will actually cause me damage. I'll throw the Rough Rider on, and as you can see, I am at 0 now. And then I'll switch back to the B, which has the longest delay on it, which is a 6.16 second. So we'll put that on, and let's see how long she takes. There we go. So the first thing we will check out is the difference in the shield size. So 91k, and that was, what was the increase? What did we have here? We had an increase of 50%. So basically 30k was added on top of that 61k or so. So that's about how much that was increased, and 80% recharge delay. That's crazy. So let's see if it actually statistically tells you. No, so it doesn't change the numbers statistically. That is a pretty significant boost just for the shield adjustment alone for the increase in capacity. The delay is just honestly a huge bonus, especially when you're running with something like the B that has a long delay, and you need to get that B up there to have the whole function of it. So we'll go on to the next ability, which is gun damage and bullet speed. Now the bullet speed, I don't really have anything that I can show you, but I'll show you the damage before I use it. Let's use this crappy pistol again. So right now I'm sitting at 570k damage non-crit and 1.2 or 1,200,000 crit. So now we'll throw that ability on there. Again, we'll max this sexy ability out. for 30% increased gun damage and 40% increased speed. So hopefully you'll be able to see the speed difference. A little bit. So we did 600, what was that, 630k? Oh, 603k. So not a huge increase, but you'll probably see a bigger increase with the crit. So about 100k increase on the crit. Not too bad. Not the greatest thing in the world, but guns like this, when speed is very much an issue, is definitely a good thing to have. Alright, so we're down to the last few abilities, and I'm not going to show you Converge just yet, because I have to actually show you the footage out in the field, actually mangling face. So, first of all, we've got Fleet, which basically increases your movement speed when your shields are depleted, and I'm going to show you a side-by-side view of both going on at the same time, and that way you'll see the difference. We're going to run! So as you can see, normal speed on the big screen, the little screen's the one that's faster. Alright, so I'm going to show you Convergence. Oh, I totally forgot. I have to actually put the point in first. That usually helps if you want to, you know, have that ability. And as you can see, now that'll unlock our last ability, which I will cover in the next part of the video here. But first of all, Convergence. Gather up some stuffs. Now you see, you got all these little bugs. All these little buggers. Let's, oh, easy guy. Oh, shit, didn't mean to do that. There you go. See, as you can see, everything gets pulled into it with the Convergence, which is pretty awesome. I love it. So it makes it very good if you want to gather up. Oh god, I've got lots of adults. It's very good if you want to gather everything up and use a grenade to kill it. Alright, so our phase lock cooldown, I will have to go down quickly to the target dummy and show you the difference, but I'll show you the difference with and without this cooldown. As you can see here, the cooldown for the Siren is extremely fast, and it's only about a 2-second difference with this talent in it, but 2 seconds when reviving can be the difference between life and death. I'd say the best thing about this particular build, and the fact that it's support and it still offers a great deal of damage, is just how you build your character if you're using the right gear. Like, I was lucky enough to find this Butcher. Unfortunately, it's a level 59, so I really want to try and get a level 61 variant of this Butcher. But a Fire Butcher, plus the Fire Relic, plus the Bee, plus Slag, plus like all the immense damage you can do. Like, check this stuff out, man. Like the amount of numbers that you see. Like, I'm doing 4 million, 5 million, 3 million, 7 million with this shotgun. This shotgun, especially if you are against a fleshy target like this, you're doing ridiculous damage. Easily doing ridiculous damage. So I really, although it's still support spec and you can easily push out more DPS with this class, I really enjoy building it in a way where I can support my team. So if you guys want to really be downing raid bosses, this is the spec to pick, because then you're going to be able to help your team as well as do a significant amount of damage, even if it's not the maximum you could possibly do. Hope you've enjoyed this build, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video or dislike, but I'll catch you on the flip side.